Okay, so this is episode probably 130 something of Toy Division. I'm recording this, I haven't edited it yet. I was just practicing today's guest's name and I thought I'd nailed it and he said good enough, and then I'm thinking, was that terrible? But we've got Peter van der Sande La Coste with us today, and we're going to be discussing physical and mental health in relation to lifestyle. So, Peter, thanks so much for agreeing to do this.
Thanks for having me again.
That's all right. I guess just to give our listeners and or now viewers, because as I said, I'm obviously in Tokyo in an alleyway, so I'm on set. Can you just give our viewers slash listeners a bit of an overview about what you do for work and or... Yeah, just to give a bit of context, so, because this is what I want. They'll be like, who the hell is this guy and why have you asked him on? So yeah, if you could just let our listeners know.
So the bulk of my work is musculoskeletal work, as in, joint and muscle pains and issues. And it's an integrative approach that I first started learning from Paul Chek. So the integrative part, it was a holistic approach which integrated nutrition and lifestyle principles in relation to musculoskeletal injuries. So, for example, rather than just fixing someone's shoulder through exercise and stretching as a basic example, you might look at their diet and lifestyle, because it could be related to a liver problem in relation to, like, for example, their right shoulder, without getting into that connection. But it's just a more holistic view that it's not just as simple as doing stretches and exercise for a seemingly physical problem. It's an integrated system that works together. And part of that integrated system is, as you started with, is the diet and lifestyle part. So really, a lot of my work has been focused around integrating those aspects that I learned from Paul and, expanded on that from, his guidance to other things. And yeah, as I said, most of the work I do is more musculoskeletal in terms of, I guess, more the sort of the physical nature. However, I do obviously, integrate the nutrition and lifestyle piece. And I say, usually, because most of my clients, to be honest, nowadays, they're just so savvy. Often they'll come to me going, right, so, I'm on FODMAP, they just rattle everything off. I'm like, okay, cool. So what are we missing then, So, often there's not a lot for me to do, to be honest, in terms of the lifestyle and the diet things for a lot of people. There are some who, are still a little bit, let's just say mainstream and a little bit behind the integrative approach. But, for the most part, a lot of the people, often they're educating me. Like, my integrative doctor said, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, I haven't heard of it. So, yeah, that's essentially my background, if that encompassed it for you.
That's really good. And one thing I would definitely say is just full practice. We met because I actually wanted to get some treatment from a Czech practitioner. So if someone doesn't know who Paul Chek is, search Paulchek. That is the right spelling, isn't it? Czech.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. Check out and you will find a shaved head / bald chap who is built like a brick shithouse and is just in such good health. And yeah, just check out who he is and be ready to think, because a lot of people think when you get to Paul Chek's age, you're going to be frail, you're going to be immobile, you're going to have no lean muscle, and you're not going to be able to do physical things. And without ruining the surprises, he does some pretty amazing things. I mean, picking up those giant rocks and stuff that he lifts up. I'm watching him thinking, this guy's stronger than me, and he's probably 30, 40 years older than me. So go check out Paul Chek. Just to give people an awareness as well, because I think location does influence what you're talking about there, with people coming in and being quite clued up. Do you want to just let people know what part of the world you practice in? Because I think that does influence the type of kind of clients and people that come in. So where do you actually practice?
So I'm in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. And I mentioned the eastern suburbs because it tends to be a more affluent demographic in that area.
Yeah.
So they tend to be people who often can afford to see, more expensive integrative doctors who have higher fees than, regular doctors who, know a little bit, but, these guys take it to another level.
Yeah.
They're more into the biophysics and, biophytomodulation and all those sorts of aspects. And again, often they're coming in and I'm not up to date with some of the things that they're talking about or the details, that they have dialed in.
Well, the reason why I do these types of episodes is, excuse me, I'm very aware that Toy Division has a very diverse audience. And I think that's the thing which often gets to me, having worked in public health and social care for many years and having worked for, say, the National Health Service in the UK. One of the things that I find quite difficult to deal with, and or I try not to let it piss me off too much, is it does seem like the medical system itself, and this, I think this segues into the allopathic medical model, is almost becoming so far behind, how you're describing the integrative medicine model, or the more kind of advanced way of addressing physical and mental health at any age. And that doesn't mean that I think the people that work in those health and social care sectors are like stupid, don't care about people. When I used to work for the NHS, I was surrounded by people that had dedicated their life or are dedicating their life to helping people. But I'm hoping through these types of discussions, someone might watch this, listen to this, and they might think, actually, you know what? Some of the stuff they're talking about could help me, because I think, unfortunately, the allopathic medical model, which is the more traditional surgery or medication model, often doesn't, it might just touch the surface of lifestyle, or it's like a side thing. I'm sure you've heard this, Peter, many times. Oh, my doctor just told me to, maybe not with the more affluent areas and the integrated medicine doctors, but the classic, just eat less and move more. And there's so much more nuance to that.
Or unfortunately still, nutrition has got nothing to do with disease.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter what you eat. And,
no.
Yeah.
And then you say that, I mean, I know we've kept in contact for a long time after I was having those treatments. I am still trying to get myself out of a system where I'm dealing with, say, and I always feel like I'm bashing on dietitians who I start to talk to them about, say, ketosis, mitochondria, the metabolic theory of mental health, or metabolic theory of cancer, etc. And they're like, you're an occupational therapist. You're not allowed to talk about that. And I just always think, how can it be that siloed? So some of the questions, I actually did quickly write a few questions just beforehand, because normally I just end up winging it. But I guess let's jump into so what are some basics that you would recommend to someone who maybe did come in, and you're saying that they're quite dialed in, they're like, okay, I know nutrition matters, sleep matters, stress matters. And I think in general the world seems a little bit more informed. But say if you had someone coming in to get treatment, maybe they're experiencing chronic persistent pain, etc. What are some real basics that you might start to explore or discuss with those types of people?
The pain people?
Yeah. So say if you had someone come in and they're like, I'm in pain and I can't sleep and I feel like crap, because often they go all together, don't they? I know they're not all the same thing, but what might be like a starting point? Because I think pain is a really important one. So what might be a starting point for someone who isn't actually clued up? They've come in and they're like completely fresh to the power of lifestyle.
It's a funny thing. Like, nowadays you would think it would, in some regards, be easier with technology and information and all these other things, but I've actually noticed it becoming harder to do easy because people seem to be more stressed, more time poor, and just not capable, whether it's energy or their mental capacity to take much on. So what used to be quite easy is now almost hard to do easy. So, you know, keeping it as simple as possible seems to be the, you know, as obvious as it can be to, you know, someone like yourself. It's like, it's really hard for these people to just do something simple.
Yeah.
You know, so to answer your question, like, you know, if they're open to it, one of the big things, you know, relating to pain, for example, that you might have read in the Earthing book by Clint Ober, is in there he talks about how he got into, you know, discovering earthing or grounding with his electronic background, where I think it was his mother from memory who had some pain.
Yeah.
And when he basically put the electrical field, you know, through her to discharge the excess electrons in her body, which were ultimately causing pain, and, you know, she got better, he started to get, you know, more people that she knew and he knew that had pain, and all he was able to do was, you know, set up this electrical system into the earth and discharge all these excess electrons build up, and their pains went away.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that those, I mean, they are quite expensive sometimes for some people, the products, but, you know, just getting an earthing sheet on your bed, put it on and just sleep as per normal. I personally recommend that, you know, you just put your normal, you know, cotton sheet or, you know, natural fiber sheet on top of the earthing sheet, because from my experience so far, they haven't been overly durable, even though they recommend to sleep directly on it. But at sort of $300 a pop, roughly from memory, they're not the cheapest sheet for most people to wear out every 3 months or whatever. So yeah, if they can afford it, I recommend that, or if, you know, if they're working at a computer like a lot of people, just to get an earthing mat that they can put their feet on, or, you know, at the standing desk, you know, same thing, maybe have a bit of a pad under it, so you're not on a hard surface. And a lot of people are willing to try that, and, you know, they've experienced, you know, like Clint, that's an earthing mat, is it?
It's not an earthing one,
or more
but
of a textured mat.
It's more of a textured mat, but yeah,
Okay.
because I was experiencing quite a lot of discomfort with my. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There you go. Oh.
the AI's not liking it.
Oh yeah, I can see. Oh, not. Oh, flipping out. That looks way more hardcore than mine.
Yeah, so it's got these rubber. It's rubber. It's not too firm, but.
And did you find, because the reason I got into that is obviously stand-up desks are great, because then you're not just sat down in a crunched up physical position all day. I've also got my walking pad. I won't try and pick that up, but that's so I can walk at my desk whilst typing. But the mat, because I was finding just being on a flat surface, I would change my standing position, but I really wanted some kind of input in the bottom of my feet. And this one also has a little bit in the middle where you can put this wooden ball into, and if you want to be really hardcore, you can run the bottom of your foot on the wood, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. But just to explain to people, so when we're talking about grounding, because I get it, you get it, but people might be like, what are they talking about? Electricity? My doctor's never talked about that. From an evolutionary perspective, as in human evolution, why would we have been grounding? Because I think that's really important for people to kind of conceptualize in their mind.
Do you have Disney Plus by chance?
I do have Disney Plus, yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it yet, but there was I think it was last year, there was, I think it's called Pole to Pole with Will Smith.
Right.
And it was a really cool doco, and it was, I think it was 7 episodes for the, you know, one for each continent.
Yeah.
And he was in Africa, and he was out with hunter-gatherers, and the males who obviously do the hunting part were talking to Will about, or, you know, through the translation, I guess, that his shoes made too much noise, and just to be treading very carefully and, you know, keeping distance behind them. And he was also explaining that outside of the noise for the animals, they were also able to feel vibration of different animals through barefoot on the earth. So, he wasn't necessarily, because they don't have shoes, right? But obviously they're getting those earthing elements with that direct connection to the earth. But he was talking about it from the evolutionary perspective with hunting, that they were able to sense their environment more. So obviously, I don't know if he had an experience with shoes, but the rubber or a thick rubber sole would dampen that vibration feedback that you get from the ground from close by animals, and getting that sense and that extra information that you wouldn't get otherwise. So I think outside of the health aspect, that was literally health, right? Like if you didn't eat, you would then die. So for them, it was more important to have more sensory feedback from the environment, and that was a really interesting one to watch. Where
I've never heard of that. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it, to be honest. But yeah, having a guy that's literally feeding his family through those, hunter-gatherer methods, talking directly about that aspect of being barefoot.
And without then opening up another Pandora's box, or a shoe box, terrible attempted pun, or whatever, if we then think about most modern shoes, it couldn't be any more far removed from that, with us touching and having sensory input through the bottom of our feet. And from a very young, early age, our feet get pushed into tiny, weird shaped shoes that don't let our toes, is it splay? Is that the right term?
Yeah.
And a lot of that then, and I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but a lot of that long term leads to older people losing tactile sense, proprioceptive sense, and their vestibular sense, which then influences balance, body awareness, and can then heighten the risk of falls. And that doesn't mean that's the only reason why elderly people fall over, but I actually will intentionally go out in my back garden where there's some gravel, and it's not nice, but I'll walk in the gravel and I'll be cursing the whole time, but I'll be thinking, this is good for my balance and my senses through the bottom of my feet. So,
and I think to expand on that too,
yeah,
outside of the surface itself, having a surface that is not just flat, that it's got changing, heights and dips and angles. Because you've got like 33 joints in your foot and ankle. Yeah. And as you were talking about with the shoe, a lot of those joints are basically turned into one big brick. Like it's just one big, platform almost that you just sit on with those shoes. And you're just walking on a nicely paved flat surface. There's no articulation to those joints. And the rest of your body suffers, because obviously your foot and ankle's the foundation for your body. So if they aren't articulating, then your shin bone and knee don't rotate while you walk and move, then your hip doesn't, your pelvic, and you see that with a lot of people, right? They just look very stiff, they look very rigid, they move in that way. Yeah. And that just gets worse over time, obviously. And
I think that's where you and we're talking about how these daily things or these choices people can make, like the type of shoe that you wear, the type of surfaces that you walk on or you navigate, or the way that you live on a daily basis, which I think is tough for people that are not necessarily not willing to accept this stuff, but the very much what I would call the sick care system has this thing of, you don't need to go and see someone until something has gone wrong or you're sick. And I'm not saying go and spend loads of money going to things that you don't need to, but I think often people just think sickness, illness, dysfunction happens. And I'm not saying, just drink some green tea with some honey like I've got here and you'll never get sick. But these are the daily things and the awareness that can make that difference. The only thing with the, because I wear minimal shoes, and I'm sure you do as well. I've got I didn't get all these props next to the computer. They're just randomly sat here. I've got the Vivo Barefoot. I can't remember this actual. So these are like minimal shoes.
Yeah, you tie them in a knot. Hey,
Yeah.
just while you bring that up, the other thing I was going to bring up with the footwear is that there's also some brands out there that have got like almost like a plug in the shoe. So even though the sole's rubber, that plug allows you to earth or ground. And it on the sole of the foot, there's only one acupuncture point, which is kidney 1, and it's located. Or for those that know, when they're making the shoe, that plug is right at kidney 1. And I've seen places where they actually sell the plugs. So I haven't seen how practical it is to do it, but you can actually buy the plug, I believe, and then cut out a hole in your favorite shoe, and you could make it an earthing shoe.
That's pretty tech. That's going to that next level. You know what I did see though?
And the other caveat too is that you want to have natural fiber socks if you are wearing socks.
Why is that? What's the?
So synthetic will disrupt the conduction of the field of electricity going up from the Earth's surface.
And if people, because one thing I was going to chip in and say was. Unfortunately, when people talk about minimal footwear, they often think of these. Now, can you see that? Can you see that image?
The 5 fingers, yeah. Well, they should be called 5 toes, really, yeah.
Well, people call them like foot gloves. And I'm like, these are perfect. Like, these are fantastic because your toes, again, like we're talking about, it doesn't push your toes together. I don't know if you still do. I can't remember the brand, but you used to wear the socks which actually spread your toes out, right?
Yes,
that was you, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you can get toe socks.
There you go. So if you don't want to look too weird, not that I think there's any problem with wearing the foot gloves.
Some people don't like them though, right? They're just not everyone's aesthetic cup of tea.
The thing is though, I'm the kind of person where I want to wear them and kind of creep people out.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea, and they'll go, why? And I'll go, well, and they'll go, and then their eyes will glaze over and they'll think, why the hell did I ask? So the earthing, that I think this has been a really good start because this is already outside the box of drink more water, which is great, but make sure it's good quality water. Try and get good sleep, limit distractions. A lot of these things have become more mainstream, but there's a lot of this other stuff which you can, like the grounding. Like when I was experiencing the chronic pain, I was combining. I read a research paper about chronic persistent pain and the electron flow in the body, and it was basically I just went and stood on the grass, on the ground, as much as possible. And I don't know if that's what ended up fixing the chronic pain. I think it was a combination of your treatments, informing myself about chronic persistent pain, changing my job, and I was just chucking everything in the kitchen sink at it, and it seemed to work. So it's hard to know what that. Also, I stopped eating grains, interestingly enough, which is
and that's the other big thing, right? Is inflammation. Cutting out anything that induces inflammation, such as grains, such as high amounts of sugar. High amounts of refined, carbohydrates, and the higher starch, fruits and vegetables. So anything basically below ground is higher in starch or higher in sugar, and then your sweeter fruits. Essentially, if you are inflamed and feeling achy in your joints, as some of the signs of inflammation, try cutting out those below ground, vegetables and having, less sweet fruit, like, have an avocado that's higher in fat as a fruit, or, your blueberries and things that are a bit more sour.
And I think that's tough because I try and give people these sorts of, mates who go, oh, my shoulder hurts, or I've got knee pain, or foot pain, or neck pain, all the pains all over. And then you kind of go, oh, have you ever tried cutting out, grains and stuff like that? And they go, what? What do you mean cutting out grains? I got told by my osteopath that I've got irreversible disc degeneration in my back, or like, what I eat doesn't make any difference. And often it's not. I've now learned to not try and educate too much because they end up just getting angry with me. That's a great segue though, because recently, Peter, as you very well know, I'm sure, the food pyramid has gone through some change. Now,
finally been flipped.
Yes.
Officially.
Now, just a bit of a comment. The thing is, it's become so political in many ways that I just want to give people a warning. We're going to be saying part of the Trump administration is not the worst thing on earth. Now, just to let everyone know, I don't think the orange man, I do not think he is a great dude. However, I do think what the Make America Healthy Again movement is trying to do, I actually think that's quite positive. Do you have any comment on that, Peter? I'm not asking you to say if you do or like Donald Trump, but have you, what do you think about them? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm an open book. I hate politics, always have.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in it, don't get involved in it. But as you said, this has become political, which is a shame because, everyone should agree upon having clean water, clean food, clean air, all those same common things, right? But unfortunately it is politicized, and take anything from the left and get Donald Trump to say it, then they'll probably suddenly hate it just because he said it.
Yeah.
So my point there is, whether you like a politician or not, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If there's things that are going to be good for people's health and welfare, like that should just be an agreeable thing regardless of who said it. So no, I totally agree with that.
And I've actually got a picture of the new food pyramid. So people might be like, oh god, guy who does Toy Division, he's gone right wing. But actually, when they finally flipped it upside down, I'm sure you were similar, Peter. I was like, thank fuck someone has actually tried to readjust this bloody pyramid.
And this, to my knowledge, has only happened in America so far, hasn't it? It's not in Australia.
I don't think it's, no pun intended, fed through yet, but we know what the US is like, where their recommendations or they
tend to flow down here.
They do tend to flow down because, just to give people an awareness, and I am going to bring up the old food pyramid. So
and going back to Paul Jack too, like back in the day when I was learning nutrition lifestyle from him, the education back then was the food pyramid needs to be flipped, like do the exact opposite. Yeah. So everything I was taught was do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But, and then here's another big proviso too that a lot of people don't tend to qualify or discuss when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah.
Is they just say salt is bad, salt is good, eggs are bad and raise cholesterol, whatever it is, that they do not qualify the quality of the product that they're talking about, because that will make a big difference. Salt is not salt. You've got quality salt that has all the minerals, trace minerals, and all the other goodness in it. When you have table salt that's classically in a cheaper restaurant, that's been stripped down and it's just sodium chloride. Nature's not designed to be isolated out like that. So it's just take anything. If you have a conventionally raised chicken and therefore egg, that will raise cholesterol. It's known to do that because of the higher omega-6 to 3 ratio. So if you have lots of those kind of eggs, it's known, and it's not just one thing, this is just an example of everything else, it will raise cholesterol. But if you have an organic free-range quality egg, the chicken's been fed well as well, obviously, outside getting vitamin D, not in a shed, then that's known to have higher omega-3, so that's anti-inflammatory. So when you just say egg, and then people are confused because you get these conflicting studies, but often when you look into the study, it doesn't actually tell you which kind of egg or salt or whatever was used. And when you get this conclusion from a study or a food, it's like, okay, great, but what meat, what kind of vegetable are we talking about here? Because that's just not how it works. But that's how they like to sort of pigeonhole it and simplify it, is that an egg is an egg and salt is salt. And it's the same with, a lot of people now are getting off of meat, whether, again, that's a political thing, or, I guess, for a lot of people, it's, perceived animal cruelty and all that sort of thing, and, save the animals. I get it. But, take a look at, the reality of plants. They eat meat. And I lost my train of thought there.
You were talking about how meat has become political, and then you said, I think you said plants eat meat, but I don't know if that's what you meant. Did you mean because we were talking...
Well, yeah, like they eat worms. They eat decomposing animals that go into the soil, and they get fed via their root system into the plant. So plants are carnivorous. But no, I was going to say something about meat specifically.
Because you're also talking about the quality of meat. So we were talking about how, say, eggs, obviously the environment in which the chickens are living, what they're fed, that influences what the eggs are like. With the meat, if you've got a big difference between a cattle that is fed shitty grains, and you see these horror stories about them being fed like sewage or other or minced up cows or whatever, and people like to, I think, because we were also talking about how it's become quite political in terms of like health, and if you eat meat you're a bad person, and if you don't, which I find really difficult, because like you're saying, I don't want to support animal cruelty.
No, and that's why I eat organic.
Exactly.
Where the animals have had a good life, they've been, roaming, they're in the sunshine, they've been treated well, they've been fed well, and had a good life.
Yeah. And I think it was Paul Check who I saw saying, I'm sure it was him. Because all these things you're saying, I'm like, probably first time I heard that was Paul Check. Probably first time.
Yeah.
Think about what you're eating has eaten, or something like that. And the example that he would give about, the bones of a chicken that has been raised in a caged environment, terrible food, will be like brittle and easy to break, whereas like a biodynamic farmed chicken that's had a nice life and had great food.
It's got tough ligaments and joints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I make my own bone broth. I am not going to be making bone broth. Not that I eat KFC, but if I was eating KFC, you don't want to be making bone broth, but then don't eat KFC is the main thing. One thing I might just bring up on the screen is the example, because we're talking about the food pyramid, and some people are like, what the hell are they talking about? So this is the old food pyramid, you see. Now, just to give people awareness, if they're listening, this is listed from the US Department of Agriculture, and the copyright, the text looks pretty old, doesn't it? It says 2005 Encyclopedia Britannica Inc. And long story short, the old food pyramid suggested that humans are best suited to eating 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and or pasta.
And I think the more modern version of that exact pyramid has got Fruit Loops and stuff as part of the bread cereal section.
Now, just to let people...
And then it's part of the heart health scheme of getting like 5 stars or whatever, which is a scam.
Yeah, that's another thing which I think you've raised very well. If anyone's living in Australia, and I think it's great if someone's looking at the packaging and trying to work out if it's healthy or not. But that 5-star system in Australia, I'm going to do it. It's fucking bullshit, and it's food industry skewed. And I've seen things that I think I had some honey. I bought some honey and it was marked as 1 star organic honey. And things like Fruity Loops, and I think Nutrigrain is like 4 stars out of 5, which is, the more stars you have, the healthier. So I guess what I'm trying to do is show people here, and this is for the listeners as well, to try and describe that right at the top, at least at the top, you had, but it says fats, oils and sweets, use sparingly. What types of fats? What types of oils? Also, meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dry beans and nuts you're told to only have 2 to 3 servings, so minimize that. These are, and we're talking about the whole food versions here. Also, you've got dairy, and again, we know some people have sensitivity to dairy and stuff like that. But I think now, thankfully, it's been flipped upside down. So I'm going to bring up the other version. Where's that new food pyramid? Here we go. Which, do you think they intentionally... Because the structure looks quite different, doesn't it, really? I mean, I know they flipped it upside down, but what are your thoughts on this new food pyramid, Peter?
Well, like I said, for me, I learned a long time ago that it needed to be flipped, but it comes back to, as I was saying, the quality of all those things is often not, spoken about.
Yeah.
And, going back to the, what can people do is, if they can be affording, the best that they can to, as an easy thing, get better quality food that they're already eating.
Yeah.
So, don't change anything, just change the quality. If you like a banana smoothie, have a better quality banana smoothie with your ingredients. You don't need to change the ingredients, just get the better quality ingredients rather than the conventional ones.
Yeah.
That would be a biggie. So, for me, looking at that, I mean, that's essentially how I eat. I mean, I don't really do bread, but...
No, nor do I, not anymore.
Or grains, but, again, going back to the political aspect, like a lot of people, and hopefully even nutritionists and dietitians and whatnot, would agree that vegetables, fruits, and healthy fats, and again, the meat's a debatable one, but no one would really argue having those things are not unhealthy. Whereas if you start to talk about, the Fruit Loops with the colouring and I haven't looked at the ingredients for a while, but it's not really food.
No, but what do they call it? Frankenfoods, or food-like products. Because they're not actually food, are they? They're like something, that's why they're called Frankenfoods, because they're like Frankenstein that's just been like a metaphor for something that's been made out of all these bits and bobs and just
humans have made it, not nature.
Yeah. And they've got that bliss point. And, I grew up eating incredibly unhealthy food, and I was overweight, but where I grew up, and this is why I think I love doing these episodes and why I want to make this information available to people that might be listening to this for the first episode they've ever listened to, because my glasses just keep steaming up. And they're like, oh, but I want to improve my health, or they're not even thinking about it. And we're just saying, if you just get better quality ingredients, you don't have to suddenly become vegan or carnivore or a vegetarian. If you want to for ideological reasons, cool. I get it.
Oh, and quickly, thank you. You just reminded me. So back on the meat. So a lot of people talk about, I gave up meat and I went vegan, vegetarian, and I felt really good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What was the meat you were eating before you went off the meat?
Exactly.
Because a lot of people aren't eating quality meat, and if you, just as an analogy, if you're having poison and then you stop having poison, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's totally accurate with conventional meat, but just the examples there. If it's not good quality, it's not as good for you as a better quality meat or produce.
I
So
do
yeah,
think,
thank you for taking me back there.
that's all right. We got there. I could kind of, now that is that where we were going earlier? And then you're
That's
like,
where I was,
okay, we got it. We got there. We got
thought.
there.
Yeah.
But that's really, really important, because I think many of us grow up seeing supermarkets is like, the broccoli that's here is just the same as the broccoli that's organic. Or, you know, I do have an organic food store quite near to where, I mean, I have to drive for 20 minutes. It's way more expensive, but I'm investing in my health. This is what I want to try and communicate to people, is getting better quality food, trying to reduce alcohol, stopping smoking, vaping, not doing illicit and or pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, I'm not saying people should stop taking medications. All these things, like doing exercise, resistance training, adjusting your sleep, doing relaxation. This is investing in your health, both now and in the future. Because the difference that you can see with people when so I'll give the example, Peter. My parents separated when I was 11 years old. They divorced. My dad is like really into fitness. He did drink when he was much younger, but hasn't drunk since drank alcohol since he was like 18. Never smoked, never done drugs. Really into fitness, all that type of stuff. Eats healthy. He's in his early 60s now. He is really cognitively there, doesn't have any health issues, very active. He kind of looks like he's in his late 40s, early 50s. Whereas my mum, on the other hand, didn't follow the same sort of lifestyle. And I hope she doesn't listen to this, because she's going to be unhappy with me mentioning it. But she does have quite a few health conditions. Doesn't seem as cognitively sharp. She's lost her hearing. And I'm not saying that's just because of the lifestyle, but it's been very interesting seeing two people over the years, because of their lifestyle, go on very different paths. So I think...
And that's the whole basis behind epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Epi meaning above, so above genetics, and epigenetics implying it's lifestyle factors that influence your genetic expression more.
Yeah.
So, if we take the food pyramid, let's just say that all the produce there were building materials.
Yes.
And your genetics are like the blueprint for a house. And you're taking, the first food pyramid, or some poor quality produce, building materials, and some better quality ones, and you build the same blueprint, the same house with those respective ingredients, and that they're neighboring houses, you're going to get a better quality house with the better ingredients, the better materials.
Yeah.
And we see that in construction.
Yeah.
Poorer quality materials break down, you get roof leaks, you get cracks in the walls, and it's no different. And and you touched on it before, and just on that train of thought, that's something that annoys me personally, that I disagree with, is a lot of people blame genetics on everything, and it's almost like, for me, I've seen a lot of people lack empowerment when they're told that or believe that, because it's like, okay, well, I don't need to change anything. And
or there's nothing I can do, or my fate is sealed.
No, and you've probably heard about this too. There've been plenty of cases where there've been twins that were split at birth, or they were adopted out to different homes, or whatever the circumstance was to split them. And one was raised on, just to simplify things, McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and the other one was healthy whole foods. And both the same genetics. Well, why does the one eating McDonald's and drinking Coca-Cola get obese and have health issues, and the other one not, if it's a genetic problem? Well, now we're talking about epigenetics. It's their environment that express their genetics differently.
Yeah, what's the analogy? And I bet this is a bloody another Paul Check one, but I swear Paul Check, he's, when you look up quotes, you could probably
He's got some gems.
It's like, I don't know if this is Paul Check, but who knows? I think it's a good one anyway. Genetics is the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
So what we're saying there is we're talking about epigenetics. So if people, because I think, the Human Genome Project, we're going to map out every single genetic part of the human body and brain, and then we're going to know exactly what genes do exactly this, and then we'll find out how this genetic disorder, blah blah blah. But then actually it turns out, like you're explaining there with that example, is the genes were mapped out, but actually it's the environment which either switches them on or switches them off, which is why things that are seen as 100% genetic, and it pisses me off that obesity and body weight is now being marketed as obesity, but we can go into that in a minute, why that would be the case. But it pisses me off because I think it's so clear that if you just eat McDonald's and drink Coke every day, you're obviously going to be less healthy than someone who eats the vast majority of their diet is whole foods. And when I'm saying whole foods, because I just remember that not everyone might understand what that means. This picture here, which is this new food pyramid, these are whole foods, so as minimally processed as possible, because everything is processed to some degree. Getting a carrot out the ground, that is technically processing it. Slaughtering a cow and making beef, that is definitely processing it. Olive oil, that needs to be processed, but as minimally processed as possible. So, without then going into conspiracy land, but I do think conspiracies often exist for a reason, and it's funny when this health stuff comes up, people
I think the big qualifier is conspiracy theory versus what becomes a conspiracy fact.
I like that. But I don't know if you have this, because you probably run it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I run in some circles of people where if I start bringing up stuff about the food system or the food pyramid, which I try not to because they just kind of, maybe I need some new mates, they'll go, oh, that sounds very Joe Rogan podcast. Oh, that sounds very right wing. And I'm like, what? Talking about health through lifestyle is somehow some sort of conspiracy. But to stop going off topic, although this is all related.
Yeah, can I just conclude while I've got that train of thought?
Yeah, go for it.
Just to kind of paint a picture for the influence on genes versus environment. Yeah. Just to expand on what you were saying about the Human Genome Project, they found that there was like 22,000 genes in humans.
Yeah.
Which was the same as a fruit fly and a banana, which they were quite disappointed on. But the thing that came out after that is with epigenetics. Last I heard that they had identified each gene had 100 epigenetic tags, like roughly. So you've got one gene, and you've got 100 epigenetic tags, meaning that one genetic cell, if you like, could be influenced by 100 environmental factors: smoking, poor quality water, poor quality food, bad sleep, drugs.
Wow.
Rattle off 100 bad things that can influence that gene, but people blame the gene. So if you look at 100 to 1, there's a massive factor. The ratios just way outbalance the genetic aspect.
And that is what all this lifestyle stuff, and I get it, people want to live their life, I get it. You go to your doctor and they go, I've got this great tablet for you and you don't have to change anything. And I used to just think, I think once I revolutionized my own health and realized the power of lifestyle and changed things for the better, I then became almost quite evangelical. I was like, why would someone not do this? It's so obvious. But I think a lot of people, they just want to live their life, which is completely down to them. But I do not want to be frail, cognitively impaired. I will be frail and cognitively impaired when I'm older, but I don't want to be as frail and cognitively impaired as the people that I used to interact and spend time with when I worked in a medical surgical hospital. It really was terrifying. People with advanced dementia, Alzheimer's, and those types of conditions. I remember being actually shit scared and just thinking, oh my God, surely there's something someone can do. And it turns out it's lifestyle is a really important factor. So to then go on, we did touch on obesity being labelled as genetic. Where do you think that's come from? Because I've got my idea of where that stuff's come from. But what do you think? Where do you think? Because that was a big thing a few years ago. It was like, there is no reason for obesity. It's all genetic. So, yeah. What do you think about that?
In a nutshell, I think it just as one, recent dominant elephant in the room is to market a weight loss drug.
Ding. Yep.
Because back, as you said, when you were overweight and unhealthy, I don't think that was probably even an option for you.
No.
And I don't think they were even talking about and blaming genes.
No,
and just to bring up a point too, in terms of the cognitive decline and whatnot, is that I think it's important that for good or bad, people have that right and that choice to go and have something in terms of their nutrition lifestyle that you could just label good or bad. Great. But I think it's disempowering when they're told that choice makes no difference to your genes and you're subject to those genes. And then if you did want to make a better choice and feel better, you're disempowered because you're at the mercy of your genetic lottery and, well, bad luck. So don't even try. And that's where I think it's sad for people who may want to make a better choice and make changes, that they feel like there isn't one. And especially if they believe the white coat.
I was nodding then. I'm trying not to just distract the viewers from nodding my head too much, but I think that's something that I completely agree with, because we're not saying eat healthier, you won't ever get any kind of illness or disease, or I'm sure this is another Paul Check one, dis-ease. It's the opposite of wellness, but I think you're right. No, this is just the genes you have. There's nothing you can do. So here's a tablet or surgery, and you're going to get frail and old and demented. And if anyone's offended by that term, demented, that is the actual clinical term for someone who has dementia. It's not just me being an arsehole saying it. And I completely agree with you. All that stuff about obesity is a complex thing. And I'm not saying if you're massively morbidly obese, I can't imagine how fucking difficult it must be, because your cells are screaming out saying you're hungry all the time. But there is things you can do. And it's not just, although those GLP-1 agonists, they do seem to be having some interesting effects. I don't know if you've heard about the effect they have on things like drug and alcohol addiction type symptoms.
I have, and I think those things are positive, though. I was listening to an Ozempic expert recently. I forget her name. She was a doctor, but she was talking about a lot of the females that she's been seeing who are on them, and a lot of them are experiencing hair loss and a lot of other symptoms because they're basically lacking nutrition. So, I guess if someone is on it and they aren't hungry, have a good multivitamin. At least get some nutrition into you that isn't necessarily quote unquote. I mean, I take a whole food, greens powder, which is food, but you could have that which is not, not food in terms of volume, and still get that nutrition. And just to bring up another point too, because a lot of people might be thinking about this, in Paul's book that I recommend, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy, he's got a really nice cartoon where he's got these two boat builders. And going back to the house analogy, is that one of the boat builders is using quality wood and materials, and the other guy is using poor quality wood, and he's got gold nails. Paul's analogy there is the gold nails are really expensive supplements. So a lot of people might be like, oh, well, I'm having really good high quality supplements. But if you listen to the word, it's just that. They're designed to supplement your diet. So with Paul's analogy, like the golden nails won't help build a quality boat that won't sink, metaphorically. Whereas if you have, he's not saying have cheap supplements either, but it's more the point that they are designed to supplement a good diet if you are going to have them. And arguably, and some people do argue this one, is that if you have a good quality whole food diet, you don't need supplements. Though, that's kind of another discussion. But I think you'll probably find it there too if you wanted to show the diagram. Don't ask me the page.
I'm just skimming through it, but trying not to be rude and not make eye contact. Whilst I'm just skimming through, that's something which, because often quite a lot of people talk to me about supplements. They're like, oh, what supplements do you think I should take? And again, I go, well, the quality is the most important part. Something which I take personally is creatine, but I take really good quality. Here we go. It disappeared. What I'll do is I will take a photo of it and I'll bring it up on the screen, so when this is then put out, people can see it, because my camera's going all... See, it just does exactly the same as with your mat. It just goes... It's not in... Oh, you can just see it here. It's tiny though. See if I get closer. Do I get closer? Can I
You're
get
still
closer?
Good. Yeah.
So yeah, you can. So weird how it does that, isn't it? It goes no.
You could probably Google it, but on images.
But I'll take a photo and I will put that up on the screen. So while we're talking about it, but that's vitamins as nails. This is I tell you what, this book. It's an amazing book, everybody. So it's one of these things where you read it and you're like. And what I love about Paul Checkers as well is he's so humble. I was going to say he's always humble. He's a strong character, but he's very humble with the fact that he's like, I didn't invent all this stuff. I've just got it all together, synthesized it, and taken other people's ideas, not to quote him exactly, but he does it in such a way that it makes a lot of sense and it's very understandable. Because Peter, I'm sure you've met many people who are very well educated, have a PhD, in whatever, but they can't explain these things to someone in an understandable way, or they're just... I keep thinking of all these Paul Check quotes, because he definitely... It doesn't he have a meaning for what PhD means? I'm pretty sure.
Piled higher and deeper.
So that was piled higher and deeper. Which I have to say, I do know some people who've done PhDs, and I said we'd go for about an hour, so I've got about...
I think in a nutshell, on that note, going back to what I was talking about, and I'm not saying this about the integrative doctors that I sort of work close with, but I think a lot of them, they get so technical with their knowledge and their intellect that they, not they necessarily, but often the basics aren't emphasized enough. It's like, going back to the gold nails, like they're looking for some kind of magic bullet, a red light panel, some kind of biohacking thing. And I was like, okay. And going back to the book and why I mention it, which is bringing us full circle to the start, that book's really got everything you need in it. It's all the basics to take care of your health. Like there's no need to, everyone's kind of reinventing the wheel in some way. And as you said, Paul didn't, it's just all the stuff that's basic that, back to evolution gifted us all those things. And if it didn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
And one of the things which really to add on top of that, we live in an age where we've got unlimited access to information. Like we've got more information, podcasts, YouTube, than we can ever consume in 100, if not 1,000 lifetimes. The problem is, it's information overload, and what we're often lacking is well-informed, almost like wizards of the world, who are able to pull these things all together and make it understandable, practical for people. Because most common thing that most people say is, I just don't get the food stuff. And I'm like, well, what do you where do you get that information from? They go, oh, you know, a news story. And I'm like, try not to base your ideas from news stories.
And even not the news, you know, I can appreciate how confusing it is for a lot of people who don't have time to look into things. All the experts are arguing.
Yeah.
Both sides of it's like, as you said about politics, that they're both arguing about the different things. And
I swear nutrition is like, it's become almost like a religious type of ideology, hasn't it? It's like,
and it's tribal. It's like you're a vegan, a vegetarian, a
carnivore, or you do
a carnivore, whatever. Yeah.
And it's like, that's so the last question I would ask, because I think we could go on about these subjects, and we have multiple times in person, and
we have.
But what do you think? And I know this is like, we shouldn't really conclude with this question, but where do you think the body positivity and or healthy at any size movement has gone? Now, I'm not asking you to give me, but
how do you mean where has it gone?
Well, it was very much in the public eye. You know, there was a lot of things about. It's all about body positivity.
Let me answer it this way, if I'm answering it the right way. Going back to the tribal thing, like just to use a public example that I heard of was that you know the singer Adele.
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay, so you know she was large, right?
Yeah.
And she had a big following from the body positivity people.
Yeah.
And then I don't know the background, to be honest, but I heard that she then started getting into weight training, got healthier. She slimmed down and started looking, better, arguably, than when she was larger.
Yep.
And then the community that was following her got pissed. Yeah. Because their famous leader had kind of shunned them almost. Not that she did, because she said, "I'm still here with you.
Yeah.
I just look different."
Yeah.
But now they've got a dilemma, is that she doesn't look like them. And I'm just bringing that up as an example because I think there's that tribal association. We've got someone famous who's a great singer and she's like us. But now if she's like in the 2023 photo, it's like, oh shit, she doesn't look like us anymore.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I brought it up on the screen in case people are, who the fuck is Adele? So she's an English lady who's an amazing singer, vocalist. Even if you don't know who Adele is, you've probably heard, listeners and viewers, you've probably heard her music. She's an amazing singer, but she looks very different. Very different.
One thing I'd say too, for a lot of people, and beauty is subjective. A lot of people might go, I much prefer the one on the left.
Yeah.
My question is, if people think that the 2008 one and they identify with looking like that,
yeah,
why are they on Ozempic?
Yeah.
Why are they on weight loss drugs? Why?
Yeah.
What are you trying to change? Are you telling me that you don't like the way you look?
Yeah. And I think what was really difficult was that, again, it became one side or the other. Body positivity was left, and I would then see things like news stories coming up, why weight training has become right wing, and I'm like, what?
I haven't heard that one.
Well, and I was like, what the fuck? What exercise has become something only Nazis do? Right, okay. And I think also with the body positivity movement, I think then these GLP-1 agonists, such as Ozempic that you were talking about, people can lose weight now. And I'm someone who's had body weight issues my whole life. As I said, when I was younger, I was overweight, I was really unhealthy. And then I got into fitness and exercise, which was a really positive thing. Then I developed an eating disorder and I became almost anorexic. And then I was like binge eating food and throwing it up. So I've had a very difficult relationship with food. I'm in a much better place now because you know what, Peter? What I've done is I eat whole foods, which mean that then my appetite and my satiety and my cravings are regulated, and I can dip into, oh, I might have a Kit Kat Chunky once every couple of weeks and have a nice pint of Guinness with some friends on a night out. But I'm not fixed to being a slave of food, and that's what I think is really important. And if anyone can take anything from this chat, is know that it doesn't matter where you are in your health journey, you can make changes on a daily basis, even if you're starting off just drinking some good quality water, or like you were saying, Peter, changing the ingredients of your food. If you love burgers, I love burgers. Get organic grass-fed burgers and cook it with tallow or butter or something like that. It doesn't mean you have to become either a right-wing gun-toting Nazi or a left-leaning Ozempic-taking whatever. It doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be political.
And you know, we've got he is a chef. Shout out to Jeremy, who has One Hungry Bear. So he has a food truck. He does his chips in tallow. He does everything in tallow.
Oh, yeah.
And for people out there, McDonald's used to do their fries in tallow.
Yes. Until everything became heart healthy. But I'm opening up a whole other Pandora's box there.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, it's fine. I think this is what's really important. And I'm actually going to give... This is One Hungry Bear in Carlton. Is that right? In New South Wales?
That's the one, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give One Hungry Bear a shout out here. This is the Instagram. So go follow One Hungry Bear. And because I love to give... Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. Oh, it won't let me in because I'm not logged into Instagram. But these are the types of tallow. So just to let people know. No, that's a whole other Pandora's box. We could do a whole other episode on cooking oils. But yeah, go follow One Hungry Bear, and I will put the details in the show notes. So Peter, just to kind of tie this all up, because I think this has been a great chat. If someone is thinking about changing their health, what might be one thing, and I know you did cover a couple earlier, but what might be something that would be like the easiest thing that someone could try and change, today or tomorrow? Because it's never too late and or early, whichever way you look at it, to start making changes. So is there one thing, and I know it's more complex than just do this one thing, take this one drug, but what might be something someone could start doing today that can start the snowball, the positive snowball, do you think?
I think one of the most important things, again, going back to Paul's book, it's in there,
yep.
But given that at a molecular level, we're basically 100% water. I'm not talking about the roughly 70% water in terms of our weight. I'm talking about at a molecular level, we're basically water. 99 point, whatever percent water, basically 100%. Point being is that with that fact, I think if you are going to invest in something, invest in a quality water filter system. And, as an expansion of that, invest in a good quality stainless steel bottle that the water goes in. You don't want a plastic one, especially a thin plastic one that can disrupt your hormones with what are called xenoestrogens, meaning artificial estrogens that come from the plastic and leach into the water. If anyone is doubtful of that, put your water in a hot car for the day in a plastic bottle and then have a sip of it and see if you like it.
Ugh.
That's the plastic leaching into the water. So a high quality, and there's a scale to that. Again, the best one that you can research and afford and get, and then stainless steel bottles are really cheap now too.
Yeah.
And ideally have it filter out fluoride and chlorine. Chlorine is an important one because that, and same with your shower, if you can, as an addition, is getting a shower filter that filters out the chlorine, because chlorine will disrupt and kill off all the good bacteria in your gut. Well, let's just say all the bacteria,
Yeah.
And that can cause digestive issues, which then has the myriad of effects of, everything else with your health.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, when you mentioned ingredients and the swapping of things out, is that if you have, let's just say you've got a sweet tooth, I'm not giving up my chocolate, I'm not giving up my sweets, I'm not giving up my whatever. Cool. So let's say you have, a milk chocolate. Have that milk chocolate, and let's just say you have 2 squares of milk chocolate or a line, whatever volume. Have that with a little bit of dark chocolate. So put it all in your mouth, chew it up, swirl it, mix it, and then, suck on it, eat it kind of thing. But you're starting to mix that sweet chocolate with the darker chocolate. Then as you progress, have 3 squares of the milk, of the sweet chocolate and the same amount of dark chocolate. And then expand it over time where you're starting to have progressively darker chocolate and then more of it compared to the sweet one. I was just in New Zealand for my niece's 2nd birthday, and we were talking about, that's right, we had some dark chocolate. And she was like, more. And that they said that she was somewhere and someone gave her some milk chocolate and she put it in her mouth and immediately just wanted it out. She's 2. There's no conversation happening. Parents couldn't say, that's not good, or she wouldn't have that concept really, as we would have it. Just naturally though, it was too sweet. She didn't like it.
Interesting.
And another interesting thing that I heard, I don't know, it was only like a few years ago, but I'd never heard it before for some reason, is that, and it kind of sounds weird, is that when you haven't, or when you've detoxed from sugar, and then you go to have something sweet, it's actually bitter.
Yeah.
That sweet is bitter, and it's not a desirable thing, which, that's kind of another thing, a side note. But yeah, the point being with the sweetness is that if you start progressing towards darker and outer sweet, you're still having your chocolate, but after a while, I don't know about you, but depending on the brand, because you can get, sweet brands and darker brands with, the same percentage, but like I kind of can't go below, sort of maximum of 75% depending on the brand, but most 75% is even a way too sweet. So normally I'm sort of, 85 plus. And I had a friend go to Vietnam and he got 100% chocolate.
Oh.
I swear there was a sweetener in it. It tasted sweet. And then you get other 100%, it tastes like dirt, and it's bitter and it's not nice.
I'll tell you what, I'm just thinking about chocolate here. But do you know what? My lovely wife, she loves to support my quest to stay eating sweet-ish foods, but in a healthy way. She made a dark chocolate caramel slice a couple of weeks ago, and
oh, you have to send me the recipe.
Okay, we'll have to make sure we give you the right recipe because it's going through many different iterations, because you can imagine
it's modified. Okay,
but I tell you what, the first one, the second one she did, it was like, this tastes like a caramel slice. She also does 0 sugar ketogenic style, so just basically natural ingredients, no sugar, cheesecakes. And I'm like, if this is healthy, and I'm like, you should go into making these. She's like, no, only you and your mates can have these recipes. And I was like, okay, great. One thing I would ask, because I actually do need to get one of these, shower filters, do you have any suggestions of brands? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up some images on the screen when we were talking about the water filters for the viewers. But do you have any shower filter brands? Because I'm always a bit like, I've bought them before, and then I'm like, these are shit. So do you have any good brands that you can suggest for me?
Yeah, it's made in the US, but you can get it here in Australia, and I'm sure around the rest of the world. I think Amazon even sells it. It's Sprite, Sprite. I've used that for most of my life now. That's a really good one. Again, there's a scale, right? Like you can get better quality, but you can get whole house filtration, which includes your shower, and then you could have another one on the shower directly if you wanted to be extra certain. But for those who have dry, brittle hair, or their skin feels a little bit off, just filtering out the chlorine again, things like that, a lot of females, particularly, who are a bit more sort of conscious than males about their hair washing and whatnot. And I don't condition my hair, but that they notice that just having that filter on, that their hair's silkier, it's smoother, their skin's smoother, it's not as dry, their hair's not as brittle, and that's just from doing. They haven't changed anything else.
And also, your skin is access to the rest of your body. This is something which I think is really important. Again, we could be opening up 10 more Pandora's boxes here, or wormholes, but also...
It's all in Paul's book.
It's all, basically, go and buy fucking... stop swearing. Go and buy this bloody book, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. And it says, your personalised 4-step guide to looking and feeling great from the inside out. And... I completely agree with you, and thank you so much, Peter. This is exactly what I was looking for, and I'm really hoping that the viewers / listeners have got some ideas to improve their physical and mental health. So I'm just going to stop recording, but thank you so much for your time.
And just real quick, was there anything else that we should have discussed that we didn't? Or from your point of view, did you get your questions and your list done?
The thing is, Peter, this is why I wanted to get you on, because then what happens is I end up going on like 10. I was about to start talking about like...
We're off script?
No, well, I never have a script, you see, but I'm then going to start talking about beauty products and wash products and how you should be careful what's in your shampoo and in your shower gel. And I'm like, that's a whole other discussion. But I think to summarize... I guess both of us would agree, do your research, as in like get informed, and just be aware that just because something's got good advertising doesn't mean it's good for you. So
and just on that, just to leave on that note, if you read the ingredients, just on the personal care front, if the ingredient label's quite long, don't buy it. If the ingredient label is short, it's probably good for you.
And also, I buy quite a lot of products, and the ingredient label is, or the list is very short. Then it has a lot of lists of things that it doesn't have in it.
Yeah, that's a good thing nowadays. Yeah, exactly.
And if anyone ever wants to know more stuff about this, contact me on the Instagram, and I'll just bore you to death and bombard you with information because I'm such a nerd. So thanks so much, Peter, and I reckon we should get you on for another episode because I think we've only just scratched the surface, but thanks so much.